What's going on? Welcome back to the Services Power Podcast, brought to you by Impact Servant Leadership. If you are a university student or you live life around a university student, whether you're a parent, whether you're an educator, you work on a university campus, whether you're aspiring to be a university student someday in some way, whether you're younger or maybe just a little bit more seasoned, this podcast is all about you. We want to grow and help leaders to be the best possible leaders they can be. And we believe that those are serving leaders, people that think about others first and them afterwards. It's so good to be with you. My name is Lyle, and this is episode 7 of the podcast. We're super excited. Thank you for everyone that connected with us. In episode 6, we asked to have some people reach out to us at hello@servicespower.org, and we've heard you. We are already starting to implement some things that you guys have given to us, some thoughts that you've had. We want to be able to hear your stories, tell those stories. Listen, if we're at 100 episodes and you finally jump onto the podcast, hey, hit us up at servicespower.org. hello@servicespower.org. Go to the website, check us out, because listen, it's never too late for us to be the best version of ourselves. We can still improve regardless of where we are on this track, wherever we're going. We need to hear from you. So it doesn't matter. You're not late to the party. Hit us up. hello@servicespower.org. We're excited to hear from each and every one of you. If I haven't said it before, I'll say it again here, and you'll probably hear it way more times than I probably should here on this podcast, that I'm a huge wrestling fan. I'm actually looking up at this trophy that I have, sort of kind of trophy. It's a World Heavyweight Championship belt. It's a replica. It's not real. I'm going to get me a real one day. But I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, man, about heels, the people that are the bad guys, the people that kind of are the negative ones that make everybody kind of upset, the ones that they make people kind of yell and make kids cry and those types of things in the wrestling world. And I notice how they act sometimes. Man, some of those guys act like real jerks, don't they? They act like everyone is below them. Even the people that are out in the crowd, that are sitting in the stadium, that are paying to watch them entertain them, that are paying their ability to be a wrestler. They're doing all of these things to support them. However, the way that they treat them, it's because of their character, the character that they're playing. And of course, we see them as terrible individuals, and they have this attitude that they're above even the people that are supporting them. And it is just debilitating. It kind of takes the air out of our sails. I think that we know some people like that. I think that we can see some leaders in our lives that kind of just have this attitude that they're better than everyone else. And when we look at wrestling and the way that they interact, the heels interact with the individuals that they're matched up against in the ring, it's just that arrogance that's just so annoying, and it makes you just want to cheer for the guy that they're going against, to polarize them. And I think that's why I cheer for servant leaders, because servant leaders, we're kind of almost in those types of positions. It's a little bit of an oxymoron, this whole idea of a servant leader, because leaders are looked at as above. But we're talking about this quote. It's so fantastic. It's from Rich Wilkerson Jr. He deals right with this whole idea and this oxymoron of servant leader, because he says this. He's the author of Sandcastle Kings. He makes this quote. This quote isn't in the book, but he did make this quote. Rich Wilkerson Jr. said this: "If service is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you." Wow. Now, in episode 6, we dealt with that first part, if service is beneath you. So in episode 7, we're going to take apart the last part of that statement, then leadership is beyond you. And we're going to deal with that. We're going to talk about that statement. Specifically, I think about The Rock. Now, The Rock is without question my absolute favorite wrestler of all time. I'm not going to say he's the best of all time, but he's my favorite for sure. He'll give any wrestler that's ever wrestled a run for their money. He's fantastic. I remember this one time in the early stages of his career, he was leader of a group called the Nation of Domination. And he was the man. He was running things in the nation. Of course, they were a heel group. They were doing all kind of horrible things, bad things. And The Rock was kind of leading them. And one of the things that I noticed about how The Rock led those guys is that he let those guys do all of the dirty work. He never got his hands dirty. He never got into the melee, into the fray, but he always was there to take the glory spot. If anyone else wanted to be in a position to win a championship, man, The Rock knocked him down. No, it's not about you. The Nation of Domination is all about me. I'm The Rock. Everybody look at The Rock. But I tell you what, if we're not willing to do everything, then we can't lead in anything. One of the reasons why the Nation of Domination completely just dismissed The Rock eventually is because he wasn't willing to get down and dirty with them. He wasn't willing to get punched in the face so that the nation could survive, that they could be all that they could be. And they finally realized that, and they finally just kicked The Rock to the curb. He couldn't lead them because he wasn't willing to really be with them when the rubber hit the road, when the fire was at their feet. He just was willing to run away. I mean, literally so many times when they got into some altercations, he would run away, but he would be willing to take the glory when they did all the work. And it was just, that's not what true leadership is. Matter of fact, what true leadership is, it's giving power away. It's not about how much you can accumulate. And man, The Rock did that, didn't he? He accumulated so much from his authority and his position as the leader of the Nation of Domination. Now, if you're not a wrestling fan, I hope this analogy doesn't take you away, but I think we all can see a person who is in a position and it's leading people because of their position, and they're attempting to take all of the glory because of their position alone. And there's a big difference between positional leadership and influential leadership. I tell you again, listen, if you know The Rock, man, if you know Dwayne Johnson, tell him about this podcast. Tell him that we're blowing up his spot, man, that we're making him the feature. Tell him to call us, hit us up at hello@servicespower.org. I mean, we don't necessarily want the superstars. I mean, it's not what it's about, but hey, this episode is just kind of all about the electricity of what it means to be a servant leader. And that was one of The Rock's kind of tags. His claims to fame was about him being the most electrifying man of all of sports entertainment. It's that influence that we need to lead from. I mean, he really influenced an entire generation of WWE fans because of his charisma, because of his influence, his personality, his character, the things that he could do. Not his position. The type of leader that's the best leader is the one that uses their influence. And really, this is what this whole idea of leadership being beyond you. We want to be able to interact with the person that desires to be an influential leader. Because I think we've met those positional leaders that just leads from their chair, leads from their perch, but they don't really have much influence personally with people. And it begins to harm the team. It begins to erode trust. It's not what we really, really want. It's not how we really, really want to lead. Because those who lead from positions alone care less about people and more about product, more about their goal, more about their bottom line, what it makes them look like. Now, I definitely want to say that there are some positional leaders. There are a lot of positional leaders out there that are absolutely killing it. They're using their position to make a great deal of impact, positive impact, serving impact within their sphere of influence. Man, they're taking that influence. They're using their position to spread out and to push out as much influence as they possibly can. And that's really what we want all leaders to do. Whatever your position might be, know is that your influence can take you farther than your position has you. It is such a good thing for us to not be beyond leaders. Those people who are beyond only think about their position and they only stay there. And that position truly is beyond those that we're serving. But however, our influence brings us down to a place of service so that we can be with people. We can understand people. This whole idea of beyond, it kind of symbolizes being out of reach. Again, if you can imagine this perch that a person is sitting on in their position, in their power, in their leadership role, you kind of reach out for them, but you can't really touch them. I'm also thinking about the movie Kidnap. Halle Berry stars in this movie, and it's fantastic. I don't necessarily would take my kids to watch it. My kids have never watched it, but my wife and I sat down. We had a lot of fun watching this movie. And then there was a couple of times in the movie Kidnap where Halle Berry is just going hard after her kid. Her kid gets kidnapped by this couple, and the couple has a plan. They have an agenda with her son. And so the car chase happens, and they're going down the highway and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's really weird with Halle Berry in the van and the couple who did the kidnapping in a more of a older kind of a sports car. And she's getting it, man. She's going after these guys because they have something that she wants. She wants it back. And so the car, eventually Halle Berry's vehicle comes to the end of itself. And so eventually she has to pull over. She has to stop. And when she gets out of that car, man, the camera's on her and she is moving, man. She's booking. I mean, she's getting it. You think that she's like the female Usain Bolt. I mean, she's gone, dude. But the picture that they eventually show is that as hard as she's going, as fast as she's running, the more that she commits to getting that thing that she needs so much, the people in the car speed off further, faster, and harder. And ladies and gentlemen, that the people in the car represent an out-of-reach leader. Because out-of-reach leaders can't touch people in the most important areas. Out-of-reach leaders have something on the inside of them that other people need. And it seems as though the people that are following these out-of-reach leaders, man, they're trying to get at them. They're trying to connect with them. They're trying to reach them, but they can't because these leaders are just gone. They're just going their own way. They have their own agenda. They have their own focus. They have their own drive that has nothing to do with anyone else on their team or in their leadership purview, and they can't be touched. And so it's strange when they attempt to reach back to those other people that they're leading because we don't want to hear anything that they've got to say. We don't want to listen to them because they've never been able to understand us from the first place. Those leaders, they only have a limited amount of potential. There's only so much that they can do because if people behind them metaphorically want to lead because of the rubber that they burn and they're so influenced by the fact that they're fast-tracked individuals, they can maybe touch those individuals, but the rest of us who really want to learn and grow and be able to understand what it is to be like them and learn from them, see their expertise and gain from their perspective, it's kind of tough. Typically, their followers actually don't even reach out to those out-of-reach leaders. Their followers don't really connect well because they're always gone. They're always so far forward. It's just like, wow, man, I'm a little guy. I haven't really connected yet. I haven't really got it all together. Why is it even good for me to attempt to really reach out to this leader? We've gone so far. We don't want to be those types of leaders. Servant leaders realize that there are people around them, that people are with them, that are still growing, that are still learning. Matter of fact, servant leaders realize that they're still growing and they're still learning, and we don't go too far. We don't go too fast and leave people in the lurch and leave people behind. So how do we get within reach? How do we become the type of leader that people want to reach out to us? They want to follow us and they want to be able to connect with us, that we won't have a limited amount of potential to be a part of their life, to be a part of their growth, and to be a part of their story. Leadership guru Dan Rockwell says, shift from being asked to asking. Man, I like that. I like that a lot. It takes this posture of submission and service to others instead of saying, hey, I've got all the answers, come to me. It's kind of saying, hey, you have something significant to add. Let me discover what that is. Let me ask you what that is. And all of a sudden, we begin to build a rapport that builds value and significance in the other person. And then they want to develop something with you as the leader as well. Shift from being asked to asking. Respond to those around you instead of reacting. Because a reaction is a little bit impulsive. It's kind of super emotional. Whereas a response, it's calculated. It's well thought out. A responder hears and understands, knows their ability, and takes along the equipment to be able to get the job done. And what I like to think about is our first responders. As a military member, we're connected really closely with first responders. And one of the wonderful things about our first responder is they have the basic things to help save a life. But the great thing about the first responder is that when they respond and they know they don't have the equipment, they do everything that they possibly can, but they also contact the people that will be able to help. And that's the difference between a reactor and a responder. A reactor only does what they're able to do in a really frustrated moment or a really impulsive moment, but once they do it, they're spent. And a responder understands that this might be actually more than they can handle, and they are already equipped to bring along those individuals. And the great thing about responding leaders is they know that the person that they're dealing with might have the answer already locked away within them. And a responding leader will uncover those things. And finally, a way to stop being an out of reach leader is to show instead of tell. I kind of think about a leader who's just pointing in the way, but not taking steps in that same direction. Does that make sense? Instead of just pointing and telling them, oh, it's over there, it's that way, why don't we show them how to do it? Why don't we go with them on the journey to get them where they need to go? And then when they get there, make sure that they have achieved everything that they're supposed to achieve. Instead of telling them and then going about our own business, doing things our own way, thinking about our own stuff. It's possible with this whole idea of leadership being beyond you, that we can lose ourselves and lose our momentum, lose our focus, our drive, everything that we wanted to do because we stopped serving, we stopped thinking, we stopped showing, and we only dictate and tell. So here's a challenge to be able to stop being an out of reach leader. How about we purposefully get in touch with those around us? Now, there's a bunch of different ways that we can purposefully get in touch with those around us, but here's an idea. Ask a question that you already know the answer to, just to get a different perspective. I tell you what that's going to do. That's going to put you in the position of a learner, not the teacher. And I tell you, the thing that really inspires me is when I meet a teacher who's still learning. I can begin to connect with that learner in them. And I can see that they see my struggle. They see my weakness. They see my faults. And when I ask a question that I already know the answer to, I'm listening a little bit more intently, because this is my opportunity to help them grow. And guess what? This is now my opportunity to grow too. If I'm the one always giving the answers, then when do I ever have the opportunity to grow myself? And when I am able to show the people that I live life around that I'm willing to grow as well, we all start to grow together. We start to band together. And all of a sudden, life starts to not be a race, but it starts to truly be a hand-in-hand marathon that we all get to grow, and live, and love, and laugh together. It's a fantastic thing. And it's so fantastic that you guys are on this thing with us, man. We're so excited here at the Services Power Podcast to bring you content that is going to help you grow to be the best servant leader that you could possibly be. Thanks for jumping on the train with us, and we will see you at the very next stop. We're honored to serve.